Hey, I'm Cameron Yost, and I am with DimensionTrader on client services, and I'm the guy you talk to when you have any questions about what you are about to see. The professor is going to show you some pretty interesting trading software using our Easy Trader, but we do have more than just the Easy Trader. We have created a series of proprietary trading systems, which includes the Easy Trader, the ABCs, and the Nexus. In the next hour, the professor is going to be focusing on the Easy Trader and the ABC for you. Now, the three systems that I put up here are all automated, and I'll tell you more about our automated program where you can either trade our systems manually or trade them automated. Of course, you have to be a ninja trader to be able to do that. Unfortunately, we don't have that ability in TradeStation to trade automatically with our systems. But we've created over 30 proprietary indicators that are very, very powerful in and of themselves. We have people who are actually trading just with one or two of our indicators at times. They've created their own systems out of it. We also provide over 40 pre-configured workspaces, and that says war spaces, but it's really workspaces. And I'm going to show you more about this as when the professor finishes up. So for now, with no more ado, I think we should just move over to the professor. Now, the professor moderates a training room every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. It's called the Easy Trader Training Room. He's also a professional trading coach, and he's been around the markets for over 15 years and knows them very, very well. We're fortunate to have him here at DimensionTrader as our moderator in our room, and he's helped a lot of people with their trading. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead, Dan, kick it over to him, and we'll start. We'll move forward, and then when the professor finishes up, bring it back to me, and I'll wrap things up.
Thank you, Cameron, and thanks everybody for getting me started here again. All this technology. My name is Professor Allen, and as Cameron was saying, I do moderate a room 3 days a week for DimensionTrader, doing a little show and tell of training of the software that we sell at DimensionTrader, which we do have 5 trading systems. What we're going to be doing today is I'm going to run you through a brief on a couple of those systems, but everything really seems to come down to, especially when we create it first and foremost, the Easy Trader system, was that the frustration of traders of wanting to know with no uncertainty exactly when to get into a trade and when to get out of a trade. And that's what I'm going to do, is show you a few slides first and foremost about how we do that. As you can see here on this chart, we got some red arrows pointing down and some green arrows pointing up. So where the green arrows are pointing up is where we're looking to take some long positions, and where the red arrows are pointing down is where we'll be looking to take some short positions. Now you say, why there, and how do you know where to enter into the market? Well, here's exactly why. Now I think you can see it a little more clear. You can see where the red arrows are pointing, we now have red bars, and where the green arrows are pointing, we now have green bars. And we go to another slide here, and this is where we'd be, again, green arrows pointing up where we'd be looking to go long, red arrows pointing down where we'd look to go short, and here's why. Telling you exactly what price bar to get in on, in some cases waiting too long, exactly what price bar to get out on. What populates these colored bars is a proprietary indicator we call our signaler generator. And this is what an actual signaler looks like in the room. When you get a green bar long signaler, what's going to happen is you're going to get a bunch of text, because we like to measure the moves in the morning when we're doing the session. When this first green bar plotted, the dotted line will extend out, and there will be a timestamp at which that first green bar long signaler plotted. It'll say signal alert. It's all in green because it's a long signal alert, and it'll always give you a suggested entry price. We use this suggested entry price as our optimal price when we're trying to enter into the market. And then, of course, we'll play around with a little bit of a strategy we use on the E-mini futures market. And here's what a short signal alert will look like. And of course, I'll blow that screen up just a bit so we can get a better view. Again, same thing, but to the downside. Its green bars go long and red bars go short. You've got a red bar, and when it first plotted, the dotted line extended out. It gives you a timestamp, which is in Central Time, which is the exchange time, at 12:49 when that first green bar plotted. It says signal alert. It's all in red because it's a short signal alert, and it's giving you a suggested entry price of 90.35. The suggested entry price, as I said, is something we're going to use in a few more minutes here to have you better understand part two of what I'm going to try and show you with the Easy Trader software, because it is the optimal entry at which we're trying to achieve when looking to enter into the market. And I'm going to get rid of some of these charts here. Again, knowing exactly when to get in and when to get out of trades is what we're looking for. And what plots these green bar longs and red bar shorts is a proprietary indicator called the signal alert generator. This is a typical workspace for the Easy Trader software. What you're looking at in the top half of the chart on the left, this is what we call the main part of the trading chart. This is where the price bars are. This is where the signal alerts are going to plot. All of the indicators that are surrounding what we refer to as the main part of the trading chart, these are most of, but not all of, the indicators that the signal alert setting of number 1 is using, that have to be satisfied before it will plot a green bar long or a red bar short signal alert. Because the signal alert generator itself has up to 12 different settings that you can set it at. You can set it at setting number 1, which is referred to as our most conservative setting, all the way to a setting of number 12, which we refer to as one of our more aggressive settings. Now, what do we mean by conservative or aggressive settings? Well, if you have the signal alert generator set at setting number 1, the most conservative setting, which is what this is set at, that signal alert generator is going to be analyzing up to 15 different indicators, and all 15 of those indicators have to favor the long or short signal alert before it will plot on the chart. And somebody's mic needs to be muted. Scott, if you can mute your mic, that would be wonderful. I don't know if you can hear me there. There we go. Thank you. So at signal alert setting number 1, it has to analyze up to 15 different indicators, and all 15 of those indicators have to favor the long or short signal alert before it will plot on the chart. Whereas if we're using one of the higher settings, we have up to 12 different settings you can set it at, say settings 10, 11, or 12, one of the what I refer to more aggressive settings. Well, then your signal alert generator doesn't have to analyze as many indicators, maybe only up to 8, 9, or 10 indicators, but all of which still have to favor the long or short signal alert before it will plot on the chart. And this is why you see all these indicators, again, as I said, that are surrounding the main part of our trading chart. These are most of, but not all, the indicators that signal alert setting number 1 would be analyzing. They would all have to be satisfied in one form or fashion before it would plot a green bar long or red bar short signal alert. Now you may ask, well, if it's going to plot it on the chart where I can see it here, why do I need all those indicators surrounding the main part of the trading chart? You may not need all these indicators, but what you would be using them for when you were trading with the Easy Trader trading is you would be using them to help you to anticipate those signal alerts, so you know when you should have your hand on the trigger ready to get into the trade, or when you could have it on your coffee cup taking a sip of coffee. Now, when I'm training in the training room, I typically open the chart on the left and we talk about the top half of this chart. And the reason that we do that is for one main reason. There's basically 3 parts to a learning curve, and I'm not going to be able to have time to go through all 3 of those to this afternoon with everybody. But there's 3 parts in indicator-based trading that, at least from my point of view. And first is being able to read the indicators so that you understand what you're looking at and what you're looking for when you're looking at the market. With the Easy Trader, it's fairly simple. These charts are stripped down. We have many, many more indicators that we could apply to our charts to make it or give us more information. But typically in the room when I'm teaching, I don't like to clutter the chart up with too many indicators because I'm usually just there to show you the method to trade each of the systems. So the first part of your learning curve with any indicator-based system is to be able to read the indicators that you're using and know what you're trying to get out of reading them either individually or collectively. And that's going to be the first part of the learning curve. The second and the third part of the learning curve, no matter what system, in my opinion, if it's indicator-based system, is being able to anticipate whatever the trade is or the trade signal that you're looking for. With the Easy Trader, you're going to be anticipating the green bar long or the red bar short. So you will be waiting in the final moments for a current price bar. Say, for instance, right now we're looking at the current market of the E-mini. That bar, as it's forming, we have to know how close that bar is. If it is going to close to the upper, in particular probably to the upside, can it be, how close is it to being a bar that could turn green? And that's what the other indicators surrounding the main part of the trading chart are there to help you to anticipate, because you need to know on this price bar whether that bar would be the bar that turned green or red in order to do step number 3 effectively. Step number 3 is the most talked about subject in any systems that I've taught, and that is pulling the trigger and getting an optimal entry. There are many reasons, and I could talk forever and ever and ever about why you might have problems getting an optimal entry into a trade no matter what system you're using. It could be your download speed. It could be your internet line. It could be a slow computer that you're using. It could be that your computer's cluttered with stuff and all clogged up. It could be the data provider using. It could be the program itself has gotten corrupt. Things happen. But most of the time when it comes down to when people are getting into trades and not getting the optimal entry, it comes down to them themselves, the person. Whether it's your attention span that you can't hold long enough and you get distracted too easily and you miss the trade, or whether it's just the excitement of pulling the trigger that causes you not to get an optimal entry. Now, when you're trading with the Easy Trader, you're going to know when you pull the trigger whether you're getting in too early or whether you're getting in too late, whether you're not getting an optimal entry. And this is all leading up to something else that I'm talking about, which is that in order for you to get in early, well, it's pretty easy with the Easy Trader because you're getting in before the bar turns green or red. Now, getting in too late means that you're not getting an optimal entry, which means, let's see if I can hide this, Cascade toolbar. Don't know how to do that, but I'll work on that next time. All right, so getting in too early, you'll know right away, because with the Easy Trader, you're obviously getting in before the bar turns green or red. But how do you know if you're getting into a trade too late? Remember, with each signal alert that we plot, we give you what we call the optimal entry, which in this case, on this signal alert, was 1644.00. That is the optimal entry. With the Easy Trader, you should be able to get within 2 ticks of either side of that suggested entry price on a regular basis. If you cannot, then you have an issue with your method of entry. And when you come to my class, I go through a variety of reasons you may want to check first, but a lot of times it just comes down to the person who's pulling the trigger and the excitement that's in pulling the trigger. At DimensionTrader, if not by accident, well, let me roll that back. I've worked for other companies, including DimensionTrader, and we all pretty much follow the same rule of thumb when people have a problem getting an optimal entry into the market. And that is, we're going to give you some suggested reading material, such as Trading in the Zone, I guess, great book. And then we're going to send you on your way, and you're pretty much on your own. But as I just spoke of before, if not maybe by accident, here at DimensionTrader, we actually created an alternative answer for people who cannot get optimal entries in the market. And that is, and I'll show it to you, the automated version of the Easy Trader software, called our GTX Easy Traders, you see here in the top left corner. Now you may say, well, wait a minute, it's automated. So doesn't that mean that I turn it on and it trades for me? Doesn't it mean that I can turn it on and walk away from it? And yep, you sure can. You can turn it on and you can walk away from it. It's an automated system called the GTX Easy Trader. You can control what market it trades. You can tell it how many contracts you want it to trade. You can tell it when to take profits, when to trail your stop. You can tell it to start and stop trading up to 3 different times in a trading day. And you can turn it on and it will execute exactly what you put in the inputs. And you can turn around, you can walk away from it. It is an automated system. But on the other hand, we weren't talking about just the automated system. We're talking about how can it help you in getting an optimal entry. Maybe you don't want to use it. You don't want an automated system. You see, the beautiful thing about the Easy Trader GTX automated system is that you can also use it as an entry ordering tool. You may say, what do you mean by that? The Easy Trader by default is preset to emulate the non-automated version. Meaning, let me get this thing back to the current market so it all looks the same to us. Well, what that means is that you can use it just to get you the entry in the market. And then from there, you can actually manage a trade yourself. Meaning you can use it to get your entry because by default, it's preset to get the signal generated price that the non-automated version plots out when it plots that signal alert. It's preset to get that signal generated price or within 1 tick. And Scott, if we could get you to mute your mic, that would be beautiful. I don't know if he can hear me. It is preset to get the signal generated price or within 1 tick of that signal generated price. If it cannot get within 1 tick of that signal generated price or the signal generated price, it will pass on the trade. And just because it's automated, it's an automated system, does not mean you can't manage the individual trades that it takes, which means you can manage the stops, you can manage the profit targets, you can close the position out. So it is an alternative. In fact, we have people who use the automated system even though they really don't have a problem pulling the trigger because of the taxing that goes into having to micromanage a chart, analyzing the market, and analyzing every price bar up until the point where it plots a signal alert. So it says it takes a lot of the excitement out of pulling the trigger. And so it is an automated version, and you can use it as an automated system, turn it on, walk away from it, and it will execute everything based on its inputs and the times you tell it to trade. Or you can just use it as an order entry tool, let it get you in the market, and then you can manage the stops, the profit targets, manage the trade, close the position out on an individual basis. You can give it a bias. Up here you got some quick buttons. So if I wanted to go get a cup of coffee, I could change this to false and this to false. It will not take any trades on a simulator or real money now because I've changed the trade short and trade long to false. If I decided that the market's only screaming to the upside like we see here and I don't want it to take any short trades, but I want it to take longs, and I can click long and it'll only take long trades now. It won't take any shorts. And sometimes if you want to have a one-way bias, you might want to do that. But again, if you want to walk away, and you don't like to leave things on trading while you're away, change them both to false, and you can go get your cup of coffee or do whatever you want to do. It'll show you the trades you missed if one plots, but it will not enter you on real money or on simulator if you have them set to false. That is the automated version of the GTX Easy Trader. And then, of course, we just have our Easy Trader, which in itself is a wonderful, wonderful piece of software where its green bars go long and red bars we're going short. But off we go to the next trading system. The next trading system, in my opinion, is as exciting, if not more exciting, than the Easy Trader software. This is called the ABC trading system. This is a pattern of pivots. This pattern of pivots, or pivot pattern, however you want to put it, called ABCs, has been around for a really, really long time, longer than I've even been in the markets. You can Google ABC trading systems and probably find thousands of them out there, some that may look similar to this and some that aren't even close to looking like this. This pattern of pivots has nothing to do with an Elliott wave. Most people who learn this pattern, most people that I've taught, they really, really, really like the pattern. As a matter of fact, the owner of DimensionTrader software, he trades the ABC pattern. But he not only trades it, he also coaches it in a private coaching room 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And when he trades the ABC pattern, he has advanced indicators on his charts because he's going to trade all of the pivots. What I'm going to show you in this session is how we can trade a couple of the pivots conservatively and one of the pivots slightly more aggressively. But we're not going to trade all the pivots with just the indicators that we have here. But as I said, most people who learn this pattern, and once you learn it, you're probably going to really kind of like it. A lot of people fall in love with it. But for a long time, the ABCs has never been, up until recently, its own trading system. And a lot of people pushed aside trading the ABCs in favor of other methods. And the reason was, for the most talked about subject there is, the entry. The entry was always so discretionary that you could take two traders side by side looking at the same pattern and they both pull the trigger at two different times. So our ABC trading system wasn't its own trading system until recently. And I always refer to it as a system in our system. A system in our system. The reason is the ABCs is embedded into our indicators. I could go back to that Easy Trader chart, open one of the indicators up, change one of the values from false to true, and it would start plotting the ABC pattern on that chart. It's embedded in our indicators. And I've always referred to it as a system in our system. And the reason because it's never been its own trading system. Why? Because of the discretionary entry that made people push it aside in favor of other trading systems. But here recently, Mike Green, the owner and developer of DimensionTrader software, developed a proprietary indicator that we call the Bias ERG. The cycling of these Bias ERG dots from green to red and red back to green is going to allow for us to trade a couple of the pivots conservatively just using this one indicator called the Bias ERG. And it's going to give us an exact price bar entry. Well, now that you've taken a system that's had a discretionary entry and you've given it an exact price bar entry, you've now taken a system and it's made it its own trading system. Thus, we came up with the ABC trading system. What I'm going to show you briefly here is what starts an ABC pattern, what can stop the ABC pattern, what has to happen to get each pivot in the pattern, and the two outcomes of an ABC pattern. But before I can start, I have to identify at least one indicator for you that's in the top half of this chart. That indicator has this bottom yellow band, it has this top yellow band, and then it has a band in the middle that if you follow it, it changes colors from green to red or red back to green. Collectively, these three bands form one indicator called the Keltner Channel. Now, the Keltner Channel is a very common indicator provided by most charting services these days. Now, we have different calculations for all three of the bands than the typical Keltner Channel has, but again, it works in the exact same fashion. One of the reasons that we keep the Keltner Channel on almost all of our systems is because most of the major future markets, and this is the E-mini, especially the E-mini, tend to channel within those two what we call yellow outer bands and bounce off that middle band quite often. So it makes sense you'd want to know where those bands are, right? This top band is called the upper outer band. The bottom yellow band is called the lower outer band, and collectively those two yellow bands are known as the outer bands. The band in the middle, well, it's known as a mid band, a middle band, or a balance line, but most typically I call it the mid band. But the outer bands play a very relevant role in the ABCs. You see, all ABC patterns start with an X. You can get an X up here, or you can get an X down here. If you get an X down here, it has a plus sign next to it because it's a pattern that's working its way up. If you get an X down here, it's going to have a minus sign on everything because it's a pattern that's working its way down. All ABC patterns start with this X. The X stands for the word extreme. It is an extreme move and pivot that has happened at or beyond the outer bands of the Keltner Channel. It is an extreme move and pivot that has happened at or beyond the outer bands of the Keltner Channel. That starts every ABC pattern. One thing you need to understand about each labeling of these pivots, all of the labels on these pivots is lagging. The pivot has to be confirmed there is a pivot there before it will label it. But the labeling of the pivot will not interfere with our entry into the market. So let's see. We're going to do this pattern here on the right. In this case, this is an X pivot to the upside. And the X is trying to get you to this opposite outer band. But if the X fails to hit this opposite outer band and it pivots back down, that pivot's going to get labeled the A pivot. The A is a pivot to the downside. It's trying to get you to this bottom outer band. As a matter of fact, all the pivots are trying to get you to the opposite outer band. If any of the pivots get you to an outer band, it will end the current ABCs and start you a new one. So if you want the progression to continue, you never want a pivot to get you to an outer band. The A is a pivot to the downside. If the A fails to hit the opposite outer band and it pivots back up, that pivot gets labeled the B pivot. It's a B pivot to the upside, so we call it a B long. If it's a B pivot to the downside, we call it a B short. So we get our B long, and the next pivot in the cycle is the C. Here's where things change a little bit. In order to get the C, the B has to get beyond the A and not hit the opposite outer band and pivot down. If the B can get beyond the high of this A pivot and not hit the opposite outer band and pivot back down, that pivot will get labeled the C pivot. Once you get a C pivot, there are now two outcomes in your ABCs. You're going to have an outcome where you get this C long pivot, and you're going to get an outcome where you don't, where the C actually ends the ABCs. In order for the C to end the ABCs, it can do it one of two ways. It can either A, the C can come down and equal the low of the B, or the other way, which we know, it can come down here and hit the opposite outer band. But if the C fails to equal the low of the B or hit the opposite outer band and it pivots back up, that pivot will get labeled the C long. We used to call it a C fail, that the C had failed to hit the opposite outer band or equal the low of the B. We didn't like the word fail, so we just called it a C long. And that makes sense because conservatively, we're going to trade the B longs and B shorts and the C longs and C shorts. And in order to trade those, we only need this one indicator called the Bias ERG. Now, the only way I know to very quickly show you the entry on this because it's really, really cool and really, really easy, is to do what we call a bar by bar. We're going to start right here where this yellow bar is, and we're going to say this is the current price bar. Why? Because probably on this price bar is when the A plotted. Remember, the text is lagging, right? You can't look for the B long pivot until you have an A, all right? So you can't look for a B before you have an A, and you can't look for a C before you have a B. That makes sense, right? What we do notice is when the X went up, these bias or dots cycled to green. When the prices pivoted down and we got the labeling of the A, the bias or dots turned red. Now all we're looking for to get an entry into the B long, which could happen anywhere, it could happen from here or here or here or here, we don't know. But all we're waiting is for the dots to cycle back to green. Every time you get a price bar close, every time a price bar closes, it will plot you a new bias or dot. So if we go to the next price bar, we see we still have red dots. So no go. We're waiting on a green dot. Next price bar, still red dots. Still red dots. Still red dots. We're just waiting on a green dot. Still red dots. Still red. I'm going to keep going. All we're waiting for is a green dot. Still got red dots. Still got red dots. There's your green dot. There's your go signal. Now, the text won't be there at this point. It doesn't matter if it is or isn't. We're not waiting on the text. We're just waiting on this green dot. That green dot plotted at the close of that red bar. Now, some of you may be asking, well, okay, so what's your strategy from here? Look, we're not in the business of setting up strategies at DimensionTrader. We'll share ours with you, and so will some of the other users of the software. And if you join Mike's private group where he coaches the ABCs, he shares his complete trading plan with you. But, you know, I've been teaching ABCs for a while. Typically, your stop's going to be below your pivot bar for the long by a couple of ticks. If you're doing a B short or a C short, it'd be above the pivot bar by a couple of ticks. And on the E-mini futures market, I'm going to say this as far as profits. You know, a lot of people don't like to go to multiple targets. We don't advocate whether you do want to or not. You don't have to. Every trader is going to be a little different. Some people like to take a little profits and leave a runner on the table and go to break even. It to each his own. But I will say this. On the E-mini, if a trade goes 5 ticks, it should not turn out to be a losing trade. Okay? That's all I can tell you. There are many different kinds of strategies you can use that can work very, very well. And we have some suggested ones when you come aboard. So right about, at least by here, you're up 5 ticks in this thing, whether you want to take some profits or go to break even and lock in a little profit, whatever you want to do is really a trader's choice, you know, but you should not lose on this trade. And so you can see it goes up. And probably right about here, the C plots. The next pivot to trade is going to be the C long. It's the same thing. We noticed when the B went up, the bias ERG dots turned green. When the prices pivoted down and we got the labeling of the C, the bias ERG dots turned red. Now we're just waiting for a green dot. It's that easy, folks. So we keep going and going. Every time a price bar closes, it gives us a new dot, but we still have red dots. We need a green one. Still red dots, still red dots, green dots. There you go. There's your entry now. That bar, that yellow bar when it closed, that's your entry. Again, your stop below the pivot bar. If it goes up, which it's gone up at least 5 ticks here, you're already in the money. You should be okay. And this thing hits that outer band where you know it could pull back. Now, we can trade the X pivots, but they're aggressive. And when you trade the X pivot, you not only need the cycling of the dots from green to red, which you would have gotten right in here. Didn't look very pretty, but it did, from red back to green. But you need this green line that was pointing down to turn up or wait for it to turn white. It's a little more aggressive. And on the X down, you need the dots to cycle from green to red, and you need this red line to point down or to wait for it to turn white. But again, these X pivots are much more aggressive. I don't recommend taking them. They can be very, very fruitful. We had some new users come on, at least one guy I know, and he just was knocking out of the ballpark trading X's. Let's take a look at today's market. I think there was some good action on today's market. I know we had a pretty good B short and a C short here. Okay, B long, and then this beautiful B long right in here. That was a beautiful belong to the upside. Where's the entry? You can see it, right? Very simple. Red to green dots. There's your entry. Where's the entry here? Red to green dots. Puts you in on this yellow bar right there. C short, there's your green to red dots. B short, green to red dot. We can just go back on the chart. Now, there's also the automated version. If I can find it here. Let's see if I got it. There it is. Of the ABCs, called the GTX ABCs. It has the same controls that the GTX Easy Trader has. So you can tell it when to trade, how many contracts to trade, what market to trade, and it has 3 different modes. Let's see if I can enable it. I guess I disabled it or never enabled it. Let's see if I can get it enabled here before we start to close down here. It has 3 different modes. Right now you can see the mode says only X, which means that it's only going to attempt the X pivots. So it took that X. Let's open this thing up. Took that X, took this X up, this X up, this X up. If I click on it, it's got conservative mode. In conservative mode, it won't trade the X's. It'll only trade the B's and C's, long and short. Okay? And if I click it again, it's got the aggressive mode. In the aggressive mode, it trades everything. Trades the X's, the B's, and the C's. So it has 3 different modes. And of course, obviously, when you go into the strategy itself, you can control everything about that trade, what it does. You can tell it how many contracts you want it to trade, when you want it to take profits. If you want it to get up a little bit, if it gets up a certain amount of money, you want it to turn off, it'll turn off when it gets up a little money, and it'll turn off if it gets down a certain amount of money. And then you can tell it to start and stop trading up to 3 different times during a trading day. So you can have a trade from 8:30 to 11 in the morning, then pick up at 1 in the afternoon and trade till 3, then pick up at 6 in the evening and trade till midnight. So you can have it start and stop trading up to 3 different times in a trading day. Now those are the Easy Trader and the ABC Trader, folks. You've seen the automated versions of both. And if you guys, I urge you to come to the room and I'll give you more details and show you more stuff that we offer here at DimensionTrader, because this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we do offer, of what we have under the hood at DimensionTrader. And with that, Cameron, it is all yours.
Yeah, Mark is asking whether or not, hold on a second, let me just read this. He wants to know, this is a little earlier in the presentation, but he wanted to know if the chart was showing 4 losing shorts in a row or if there was another filter.
Are you still with us, Professor?
I'm trying to remember what I was showing. It's possible. Are these 4 losing trades? Or this is probably what he's looking at right here.
I think it was your first chart.
Yeah, let me screen share it here. And so yeah, when you're seeing here, I mean, these would probably be winners. You got a loser here. You got a loser here. That would have been a small winner. That would have been possibly a small winner, maybe a little bit of a loser. That's a loser, and then you got a winner here and a winner here. Yeah, I mean, the Easy Trader signaler generator, it's not infallible. I mean, we do have losing trades. We even have losing days. We don't have many. Being able to distinguish between what trades you should take and not take can make a difference in your profits and your losses. So absolutely, yes, there were some losing trades in there, here and here. This is a winner, may have been a loser, and even that may have been a loser. So yes, for whoever had that question, yes, it's not all winners and no losers. If you know somebody who's got a system that's all winners and no losers, you probably want to run very far and very fast away from them. But that's all I got. Any more questions? Let me know.
One more question. Nazim had a question. Hold on a second. Nazim wants to know, what is the success rate for these signal alerts?
We did have some actual stats. In fact, some of our owners of the software have run some stats on it. We keep a performance based on the live signal alerts that happen between 8:30 and 10:30. on the E-mini futures market. If you go to DimensionTrader.com, you'll be able to go to the performance tab once you get to our website, and it will show you the performance on a daily basis of the Easy Trader software. Folks,
you can see a lot more of this every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and the professor there has there's a chat feature. It's in the GoToWebinar format, and he goes through not only the Easy Trader and the ABC with a lot more detail, but in addition our other trading systems, and can give you a lot more information there. Now what you want to do is go to our website, but before we do that, I'm going to show you how you can get into the professor's Easy Trader training room. And I do want to add, this slide is showing now, that the Auto Trader, when you get involved with us, you get the GTX Auto Trader, and you have a complimentary 1-month trial, not only with this automated trader, but with 2 others that we have created, the ABC, and we'll be releasing the Nexus here in another couple weeks. Our auto traders are only $200 a month. There's no limit to the number of contracts you can trade. There's no instrument restriction, meaning you can trade gold, you can trade the E-mini, you can do crude, anything you want to trade. And we've got quite a bit of instruction associated with our GTX auto traders. And all of our systems that we've automated, we put the letters GTX in front of it. You'll find all of this, and I'm going to try to move us to there. DimensionTrader.com, DimensionTrader.com, and let's go there now, because I want to show you, and I've tried to set this up. This is, and let's make sure I'm doing this correct. I'm getting used to this. Go to Hangouts here, screen share, and we're going to go to this one. This is our home page, and as you go in here, you'll see a little on the lower left-hand corner here, register for the free 2-week guest pass. Register here, and just click on that and register. You can get into the professor's Easy Trader training room and see more of it. Now, we've also had people talk about performance, and if you go to our performance button, you'll see this little YouTube right here, this little YouTube button, and there is over 2 years of recaps right there that are less than 1 minute long, but it shows you the performance of the Easy Trader each day in the Easy Trader training room. And I've also put that together in a performance chart, and I will send you that after your first day in the Easy Trader training room. You can see what the performance of the Easy Trader has been, and it's very impressive. It's great. Yeah, it's averaging a couple $1,000s a month on one contract. I don't have that up right now. Now, also, I want to direct you to our morning outlook. The morning outlook you should register for as well. It is free. And every morning at 8:45 Eastern Time, Mike Green, the owner of our company, and Mike Havens, who is our Nexus coach, they do a morning outlook. They give you the news, not only the economic news that's going to be released during the day, but also geopolitical news that may impact today's market. And you know, that's every good trader needs to do this, to exercise in the morning, know what's going to be released, what time it's going to come out. And by the way, our software gives you a warning prior to news being released. After we go through the news and we then look at market profile on 6 different instruments right here. The ES and the Russell. I don't need to read those to you, but those 6 different instruments. We also get the gap. Mike will tell us where the gap fill is going to be, and that's almost a free trade for people. That's pretty neat. Go through our software. This gives you, on the software button, you scroll down here. These are our 5 systems. There's a short quick start video on each of these. When I say they're 5 to 10 minutes that the professor has produced. You saw the Easy Trader today, and you also saw the ABC Trader. We've got the Nexus Director and Golden Compass. Encourage you to watch those. We do write for TradeStation and NinjaTrader. We have more features in our NinjaTrader software. The GTX Auto Traders are within the NinjaTrader, and we've created these bars, these Z bars that you saw the professor using. We do have coaching, and our coaching is on the Nexus coaching and the ABC coaching. That is Mike Havens does the Nexus Trader, and Mike Green does the ABC. There's some information there, and I'd be happy to share that with you. I don't want to get too far in here. Now, also, go back to our home. You'll see, let me blow this up a little bit. You see the YouTube button up here, and it's present on every page. This takes you to our YouTube channel, where we have a lot of video on our different systems and webinars that we have produced in the past. It's really worth going there and just scrolling down, find something that you're interested in, that you can take a look at it. Now, do we have any questions at this point, Dan? If we do, just holler, because I can't see them, or at any time. I do want to show one more thing, and that's our broadcast rooms, and then I'm going to kick you over there. We do broadcast. If you want to see these winning signals 22.5 hours a day, 5 days a week on the E-mini, the Russell, and the Euro, you can do that, and just go to broadcast rooms and click here. Now, I have the broadcast rooms open, and I do want to kick back here to Hangouts, and let me show you what that looks like. There we go. We broadcast this screen all day long, and it's the Easy Trader signal generator plugged in here to the charts. You got the ES on the left, the Russell in the middle, the Euro on the right. And you can see green go long. Remember what the professor was telling you? Green go long, red go short. Now the Russell is currently in a short position. And we do project text, and you can eliminate this or modify it. This is a trading system that a trade management system that the professor teaches in the Easy Trader training room every morning. It has this multiple contracts, suggested entry, where your first one comes off, how you move your stops. He goes through all of that in the Easy Trader training room every morning that you should register for from our website, the homepage. We also have the significant indicators the professor has touched on that help you make a entry or exit decision. Not just the colored bars. When you see the bars go colored, you want to make sure your MACDs, your Easy Trader buddy is below their zero line. It's not bumping up for a zero line rejection. Here's our Easy Trader indicator right here that also has a signal generator attached. We've got the chop meter in here that you want to be negative. You've got your Bias ERG and trader bars that the professor teaches you about in the training room. Also our scalp trigger down here that we saw with the ABCs that we also could use for other types of trading. So these indicators and much, much more, we have over 30 of these. The professor runs through those with you in the Easy Trader training room. But the broadcast rooms are something here that you should really take advantage of, because you can watch these signals on these 3 different instruments during Globex hours. You know, it's only closed an hour every day, hour and a half. But so in the evening, night, middle of the morning, or during the cash trading hours, you can be using the broadcast rooms. Do we have any questions at this point in time? Okay. Well, again, folks, thanks for spending time with us today. I think that wraps it all up. I don't know if the professor wants to add anything more, but I do encourage you to go to DimensionTrader.com, register for your 2-week guest pass into the Easy Trader training room. Contact me, Cameron, at DimensionTrader.com. Again, Cameron at DimensionTrader.com. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. And that pretty much wraps it up at our end here. Dan, I appreciate the opportunity, both the professor and I do, to share with you kind of the tip of the iceberg of what we've got. Everything we've touched on, there's a lot more depth to it. And as you get into the using your guest pass over a 2-week period, you'll get a very good idea of how of what all we do. We have a lot of education, a lot of support. We teach how to use these indicators, and we have a lot of very, very happy traders.